we're here with Marcia Elmers, who was the boss of Devan Sanders at a nonprofit, and we're talking about his cold case, which he was killed by gunshot in 2018, and nobody knows who killed him. So, Marcia, what was Devan like?
Devan was a wonderful young man. He was with a program for youth in Montgomery County, where we lived, where he lived and I live, and they pay young people, 14 and older, to be part of the nonprofit world. So he was paid to volunteer or to work through Good Neighbor House, and I was his supervisor for a couple years, and he was just dynamic. I mean, just a fun-loving kid. Nothing was too hard for him. He never said no, any job or task. The clients loved him, staff loved him. And he then graduated out of the program, graduated high school, and we still stayed in touch. I would hear from him every once in a while. He would still stop by the nonprofit just to see how I was doing. And then he would donate back. So he worked at a store. He worked at a Sears store that was going to shut down in that mall. And he one day went into the dumpsters and found some of the prepaid phones that had not been activated yet. And he brought them to my place because he said, there's people that come in to utilize your services who might not be able to afford a phone. And I had a stack of them from him, and I gave them to a friend of mine who's in law enforcement to use for his people that he would run into. And the officer called me and said, hey, my neighbor has no Wi-Fi, no power. We don't know what's going on. Do you mind if I activate one of these for an emergency in case she would need it? That very night, she had a heart attack. At home, by herself. She was bedridden and was able to call for help and call her neighbor, the officer who came over and got the whole ball rolling. She spent several weeks in the hospital, but it saved her life. And the officer wrote a letter of accommodation to Devan, and after he was murdered, they found it in his Bible by his nightstand.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And it says he drove relief supplies to Flint, Michigan when they were having a water crisis.
He did that. He worked then in another retail job, and he would actually use his own money to buy gift cards. If you would donate to nonprofits, he would put you in a raffle and help you out with gift cards. You could win a gift card. He had just this giving spirit. I mean, he was just a caring soul.
Sounds like he was pretty creative, too, to do that raffle gift card thing as well.
He was extremely creative, and that's the thing, obviously the loss of a friend, but the biggest thing is how much were we as a community, how much were we robbed by whoever did this to him? Because, he was so young when he passed. How much work that he had been doing, as an adult. He worked hard. He worked, was always working even as a young person. He was trying to finish up with school and college, some training programs, and make his way in the world. And he knew even at an early age, making his way in the world included taking care of his community and those people in it.
Yeah. And the night of his murder, his sister got word that he had been killed, and then I believe it said here his mother went to find him, like somebody called them and then said he's over here or whatever, and then they went and found him and he was dead. Did they know who called?
So the mother, I was at the house the very next morning. The mother, he lived with his mother, his sister, and his brother. And it was a very rainy, stormy night, lots of thunder and lightning. And his mother said that she always had the TV up loud because it was kind of a high crime area, and she would keep it up loud to blot out the noises in the neighborhood. And he came home. He had gone out or had gotten off work, but it was, 11 o'clock-ish at night, and he had come home. And she heard him come in, and she then turned her TV up. And, because it was storming so loud, there was other noise, whatever. She just wasn't, focused on him going back out again. Somebody called him, or somehow he left the house. He didn't get far because he was found to the side of his house by his brother very early the next morning. And they called. I went over. It was just such a horrible, tragic end, and there had been no answers as to what happened to him. And again, my biggest thing is such a kind, caring young man who would literally do anything for you. We've missed out as a community because of him not being here. And there was no resolution.
Did they at all investigate who called him right before he left?
I don't know the depth of law enforcement's involvement.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how deep that went. I don't know, what happened as far as law enforcement. I had brought it to the attention of somebody who was in law enforcement a while later and said, hey, where does this stand? And it just, I hadn't gotten any clear answers as to, what's going on with it.
And we've tried to contact law enforcement about this case, and nobody returns our calls. So that's another thing as far as, what we're doing to investigate it. But the violent crime in Dayton, Ohio seems to be pretty it's considered one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. What do you have to say about that?
I don't know statistically where we stand. I think the whole world is, definitely not a safe place. And I mean, certainly you have to take precautions no matter where you live. You have to have an extra set of eyes on where you live. But violent crime, no matter what community you live in, it affects all of us. I mean, it's something that if we're not a victim ourselves, we probably know somebody who has been a victim. Yeah. And, sadly, this was my story through him, that I experienced the taking of a young life. And again, I haven't felt closure yet because there is no resolution. And I don't know why that is or what we can do. I think you're taking some steps in the right direction in keeping it out there and making people know that, violence, it doesn't just affect the person you might have, an issue with. It affects multiple layers. It affects the community as a whole. And, I know that there's a lot of programs and there's a lot of law enforcement that go above and beyond, and a lot of programs that are in place to make our community safer, and I'm grateful for that. I can only speak in this situation where, we've all been victimized because of the loss of this young man.
Right. Now, did he at all live in a bad neighborhood?
I mean, in this day and age, I think every neighborhood will be a bad neighborhood,
Right.
I mean, we hear stories that it doesn't, social economics and whatever. I know that what his mother had even stated, how, again, with the TV and keeping it up because of the noise level of the, activity in the neighborhood. So, any area I think has the potential to be a bad neighborhood if, again, I think stopping the violence and contributing to, resolutions as to why things have happened goes a long way in helping even neighborhoods that might be considered unsafe or a violent neighborhood. It goes a long way into helping fix that. And, we need to do what's in front of us, and we need to do our part. And if that means walking away instead of getting in an argument, if that means like doing what you're doing, making something that was so unjust have a little bit of resolution to it, then that's what we're here for. That's what we should be doing.
Right. Well, I thank you, Marcia, and this has been a great interview, and I'll call you right back.
All right. Thank you, sir, for all you're doing.
No problem.
Bye-bye.